I am Josh Robinson. I work at JSR Audio here in Belfast. So I've been recording since about 2007, I believe. I was sat in my bedroom with like a headphone cable and an adapter in my guitar into the back of the computer. It was awful. But I really liked that I could sort of get those ideas down and remember them later instead of just forgetting them. So then for my 15th birthday, I think it was, my mum said, you have a couple £100 here, I see you're getting into the music, what do you want? So I got my first recording interface. It was like about this size, sat on the desktop. It was craptastic. It had like 2 knobs on it, crashed all the time, but it was way better than what I was using. So that sort of got me started. And then stupidly, I decided I'm going to start recording bands about 3 months into this thing when I had no idea what I was doing. So the first band I can remember working on that amounted to anything was a band from Belfast called As I Breathe. And they were like, they were around when metalcore was starting to sort of break out in Belfast. Everyone was chugging at that point. So we recorded it in my garage outside my house. I think we had to use like programmed drums or maybe an electric drum kit, which is bad considering who I'm being interviewed by, right? But yeah, so that was probably, yeah, that was the first proper project I did, and it was like £10 or something for a song. Yeah, I made money. I made money on the first one. And it turned out terrible, and they're still on Facebook actually. They're still up on Facebook. Beginnings by As I Breathe. Just lots of hate in the comments for my mix on that, please. I think what got me into recording was that I'd just gotten into playing guitar, and I'd been playing drums for a few years, but not very well. And I like to rush head first into things, so when I got this guitar and I could play like one song, I was thinking like, oh, I want to be able to show people this, so I kind of recorded with the shit setup, and then I took it way too far and just kept going and kept going, wrote the most horrible demos, but it was really just out of need for getting something out there to the world, like a creative outlet for me. And then eventually I stopped caring as much about playing the instruments and more about making it sound really good. And I think I'm still just taking it too far to this day. In terms of recording, there's definitely a few guys I would look up to. There's an engineer called Will Putney in New Jersey. He's made some of the heaviest albums of the last like 5-6 years. He used to actually be the intern for Machine, who did Sacrament by Lamb of God, I believe it was. So just 2 ridiculous talented dudes. Kind of similar production style. And then there's Nolly, ex-Periphery bassist, also ridiculously precise and clean sounds. And then there's Steve Albini. Just complete other end of the spectrum, but I respect the sounds that all those guys can get out of stuff. Like some of the songs are really natural and open, like Steve's side of things, a bit of Nolly in there, and then just crushing from Machine and Putney. Oh, also Sylvia Massey, because she's insane, absolutely insane. She ran guitars through a pickle. My advice for recording at home would be do a lot of research first, because I went into it, that was like 12 years ago, not knowing what was good, what was bad. I just went with whatever said recording interface, and I did that probably 3 or 4 more times because I just wasn't ready to do the fucking research. So that's number 1, is do your research on anything you're buying, because otherwise you could waste your money completely. 2, don't be afraid to ask people that are more into it than you for a bit of help. Same with anything in life, really. And Yeah, the third thing really is be prepared to be bad at it for a long time, because everyone goes through that, and if you stick at it long enough, you're going to work out what works for you. It's not going to be the same as everyone else, but you'll figure something out. I could go with the safe answer on this and say everyone, but I'm not going to cop out like that. There's been a few bands that, like, it wasn't so much they were my favourite recordings. Leave that in. It wasn't so much that they were like my favorite songs to work on, but just like, the weird things that happened in the studio at the time. So usually it's nothing to do with the music. When I have a really good day, it's when people are a real good crack. Words That Burn, fucking hilarious, guys. Like, we just berate each other all day long in the sessions. No one is as much of a piece of shit as whoever is recording at that time. Same with Cursed Sun. Exactly the same thing. Just bully whoever's recording until they get a good take. So I guess that means that my favourite sessions are the ones where I get to be a bit of a dick. It's just no fun when you try to have a bit of crack with someone and they get offended. No time for that. My top 3 favourite records in terms of drum sound. The obvious, Deftones' White Pony. Specifically Digital Bath. The snare sound is just the best thing I've ever heard in my life. So that's one. Let's see, closely behind that, probably... this one's going to offend the drummers because there's samples all the fuck over it. Gojira Magma only came out 2017, I think. Maybe 2016. But it's the most recent album anyway, and drums are just ridiculous. Like, drummer can fucking play, but there's samples on there. I'm not going to deny that. Sounds cool. I like samples. Then third... No, I don't want to just go with another Putney one, because that's cheating. Okay, third, the snare on Saint Anger. It's a great snare. It's just in the wrong song, or wrong album. I challenge you to say that snare's a bad snare. I would say the drums are probably tied first for most important. Drums and bass, like that lays down the whole rhythm and feel of a track. Like, you strip the drums off any song, replace it with something else, it's going to completely change the feel. So I think the drums, they really serve to just keep that pulse going and direct you through the song, as opposed to sort of like waiting for the next chord, thinking, what's going to be next. You've always got something to sort of drive that forward, and they're also probably the most fun to mix from my end, because you can go in so many different directions with it. Yeah, just moved into the new studio here, so we're sort of filling up slots towards start of December through to January, and just trying to get that filled up at the minute. Got a few cool bands coming in. Can't really say who, but I'd say February, March, there'll be a lot of stuff coming out people will be able to listen to. Should be cool.